Good evening everyone, at Play45 here. So, I know I'm a little late to this. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out like half a year ago, but I just finished the game like 2 weeks ago, so I want to talk about it. So if you don't know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. And this game follows Cloud Strife and his friends trying to stop Sephiroth from destroying all life on the planet. So that was a very short summary of what the game is about. I don't want to spoil too much at the beginning of the video since I highly recommend you play it. But I think it's time for me to share my thoughts on the game. So first, let's start off with what I think is the most important part of any video game. The gameplay. So the gameplay in Rebirth is pretty much the same as in Remake, but with a few new things. So traversing the map is pretty much the same as in Remake, except it's much more open and you can ride on chocobos in some areas. And I just want to say I love chocobos. I just think they're very funny creatures and they make very epic noises. So traversing the map is fun. But the most fun part of the game is the combat. So the combat is like a mix of real-time combat and Final Fantasy VII's original turn-based combat. So you can attack the enemies in real time, but you can also open a menu that lets you use different abilities, magic, and items. And when your limit bar fills up, you can use your limit attack, which is like a really strong attack. So most of the combat is the same as it was in Remake. But in Rebirth they also added synergy abilities, where two characters team up to use a strong attack or help themselves. And the new synergy ability mechanic is a very welcome change. So this game has some absolutely amazing combat. And the gameplay in general is really good in this game. Now let's move over to the graphics and how the world looks and feels. So let's just get this out of the way. The game looks phenomenal. The graphics are phenomenal. And the map design is also really good. And this world also feels very lively and lived in. Like Costa del Sol especially feels very lively and lived in. The models for the main characters are also super detailed and looks really good. It's weird to think that the original Final Fantasy VII looked like this. And now Rebirth looks like this. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the graphics and the world. The game just looks really damn gorgeous. Now let's talk about the characters. We're moving into spoiler territory here, by the way, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I'd recommend skipping to this timestamp on screen. So the characters in this game are just amazing. Almost all of them have deep and complex backstories, and their personalities, character development, and relationship with each other is just amazing. So first, let's start off with Cloud Strife. So Cloud is kind of quiet, straight to the point, and doesn't really show many emotions or affection around others. But he's definitely starting to grow and is becoming more open with the people around him. And he also has a really cool backstory. So he was a soldier working for Shinra, and he went on a mission with Sephiroth and Zack in Nibelheim, the place Cloud grew up. But after they finish the mission, Cloud goes to seek out Sephiroth, and Sephiroth pushes him aside and goes and burns Nibelheim to the ground. And Cloud loses his mother as well. Cloud also forgot about Zack, and Sephiroth was able to manipulate him a lot throughout the story. So Cloud is a very interesting character with a really cool and tragic backstory. Tifa is also a pretty good character. She's pretty good friends with Cloud since they grew up together. She's also got a cool backstory. So after Sephiroth destroyed Nibelheim, her father went up to the Mako reactor to confront Sephiroth. But Sephiroth killed him, and Tifa tried to kill Sephiroth. But Sephiroth slashed her stomach and she almost died, but a doctor was able to save her. So her backstory is also really interesting and tragic. Okay, I don't think I'll go over every character backstory and their traits. I'm not exactly the best at analyzing characters, but the characters in this game are really good. Barret is a really cool character since he can be kind of cold, but he also really cares about his friends. His backstory is also pretty interesting and tragic. Aerith is definitely one of my favorite characters in the game. She's just so interesting and very kind of thoughtful. She's also the last ancient / Cetra on the planet. Her backstory is also really good and tragic, and I was devastated when she was killed at the end of the game. So Red / Nanaki is also a really cool character. Don't really have much to say about him. Same with Yuffie. She's a cool and fun character with a really good and tragic backstory, but I don't really have much to say about her either. And then we have Cait Sith, and I absolutely love him. He's got a magnificent character design, and his accent makes him 10 times better. And I also love that most characters that joined the party had a reason to go on this adventure. But Cait just joined because why not? and I felt very betrayed when he gave the orb to Shinra, but he was able to make up for it later. Sephiroth is also one of my favorite characters in this game. He's just so interesting and cool. After he found out he was made by Shinra, he just went crazy and burned down Nibelheim, and is now trying to end all life on the planet. Sephiroth is just such an amazing villain, and probably one of my favorite fictional villains of all time. Then we have other characters like Vincent, Sid, Zack, and Rufus. They're all really good characters, I just don't have much to say about them, and I hope most of them do more in the next game. So that was just the most important characters in this game. There are many other characters I don't really have time to talk about in this video. I don't think there's a single bad character in this game. Never mind, scratch that, Don Corneo exists. Can this dude just fade out of existence, please? I hated him in Remake, and I was not happy to see him again in Rebirth. I hope he falls down the stairs and dies. Now over to the story. So the story in this game is really good. So after the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cloud and Co are trying to figure out what Sephiroth is up to and how to stop him. So they follow some dudes in black robes, and after a while they find out Sephiroth is after the black materia, which is in a Cetra temple. So Cloud and Co goes to the temple to get the black materia before Sephiroth. Well, Sephiroth appears and kills Aerith, so there's a huge boss fight against Sephiroth. Cloud and Co wins, but Sephiroth flees, but Aerith unfortunately didn't survive. So that was a very quick summary of the story. I might have skipped a few parts of the story, but that's fine. So I thought the story in this game was very good and really interesting, and I'm very excited to see where the story goes next. And the ending of this game was just very sad. I had to process this ending for a while. Aerith's death just hurt too much. So yeah, those were my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But I would definitely recommend Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to those who haven't played it yet. It's just such a phenomenal game with amazing gameplay and an amazing story. But what did you guys who play Rebirth think about the game? Let me know in the comments below. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye!